I think we've heard a lot about app marketing right now this morning, and we have a few specialists here on the panel, and I suggest you introduce yourself and start with a recommendation on if someone is launching their app, what would they do? What would you recommend them to do beyond the App Store optimization, which we discussed in the first panel, but when it comes to app marketing? Lucas?
Okay, hi everyone, my name is Lucas. I'm a mobile marketing manager for Deutsche Post DHL. We are really the guys that usually deliver your letters and parcels, but we do have apps as well. One of them is called SimsMe. It's a secure messaging app. We just launched like 3 months ago, and my job is actually mobile acquisition for that app. And my one tip for somebody starting out completely new would probably be, before you start spending any money, is get a set of KPIs that you want to achieve, and then don't overdo it, because if you're just starting out with a new app, you probably have no idea what actually is a good benchmark for those KPIs. So try a lot of things, spend little money, test a lot around, and then get some benchmarks, and then take it from there.
Okay, Sis?
Hi, I'm Sis. I'm here with Avazu, a Chinese-based powerhouse for mobile advertising. We also have our own games that we publish in China. And this year we expanded in Europe, so we have one office in Amsterdam, and we opened 2-3 months ago the Berlin office. So obviously we have a lot of experience with creating an app and then getting users. So what I would always suggest would be to diversify your traffic sources, but at the same time keep it lean. Mainly because networks and affiliate networks and all this industry is a little bit like a wild west reality. So I bet everyone here knows this reality, and you need to keep everyone under control and not going too wild with extreme marketing strategies, with too intrusive advertising, with getting useless users, etc. So diversify and keep it lean.
Okay, Hugo?
Hey, I'm Hugo. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and co-founder of Apeiris. We're a mobile user acquisition platform. So we help app developers to acquire users on a performance basis. And to actually answer your question, I would join Lucas in the first thing that you have to set when you're advertising for an app is main KPIs, so things that you're going to benchmark against or optimize for. So that's the first tip. And the second tip would be to start also doing your research. So calling affiliate networks, calling Facebook, calling Twitter, and building your knowledge before going with one partner. And the third tip is also about people. So go with somebody you feel is going to teach you some stuff, and go with somebody that tells you no, or go with somebody that tells you or give you advices before going with somebody that sells you something. So that would be my 3 points before starting marketing campaigns on mobile.
Thank you, Hugo. And Lele?
Hi. You know me? Well, there's two differences. If you have money, you can do a lot of bad things. And if you don't have money, you can probably do a lot of bad things as well. My biggest advice is that if you don't know too much about mobile marketing, about either acquiring user, paying, or doing organically, start networking a lot. Start talking to all the people that actually knows, that actually have done mistakes, lunch, dinner, whatever. You go to them and you say, what have you done? Maybe your app is similar to their apps. Maybe you can share the same experiences. Because every case is different. It's not that you go on Facebook, yeah, it's good for a while. Maybe it's really bad. Just talk to the people, get your networking done, and start probably doing things right.
Okay, so you've both mentioned Facebook and Twitter. We've heard this morning from Patrick that every day there's a few hundred new apps coming on the market. And you said, Sis, stay clean, so don't do too many things, defragmentation versus fragmentation. Is it Facebook and Twitter, or who do you start with? Hugo, maybe you want to start?
I think I join Lele on this. It really depends on the app, on the budget. I mean, there's a certain kinds of app work on Facebook. Some don't. Some are restricted from Facebook. I'm talking about some dating apps out there. So it really depends on the application you have. And I wouldn't advise to go. There's not one rule for every app, I'd say. So Facebook is a good channel. as well as Twitter, as well as Google, as well as Avazu, Apparis, Lovu for certain pushes. So I mean, there is not a rule for every app. So I wouldn't mention Facebook as a first step for every marketing campaign. So it's about your app. It's about the results you want to reach. And Facebook is not the omni-channel. It's not the only channel for every app marketing campaign.
Okay, Lucas, what have you tried?
I always had pretty good results with Facebook, but as long as you don't do it programmatically, like Fixu, described before, which I haven't tried, I always ran into a problem that was with scaling. I got really good users and I got them to at a good price point to a certain degree, but when I tried to scale it up, to spend more on the platform, it kind of bugged. So I had to add different networks and other acquisition channels as well.
Okay, so the scalability was limited.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any questions from the audience before I continue? No, okay. You mentioned KPIs before. Define your KPIs. What have you seen or have proven successful to really measure the clients you get? Which ones are you looking into when you launch a new gaming app?
Obviously, there are several. They change according to the app, to the vertical. We really like to act quickly because we are working on mass volumes. So a very good KPI we're working on is second-day retention rate. So of course you have the initial one, registration to install rate, and then what happens the next day if a user touch the application at all.
So that's your aha moment we heard in the presentation in the morning. Okay,
yeah.
The second-day retention.
So then we can act quickly and move forward with more advanced KPIs, like which level did the user get, of course transaction, share on Facebook.
So Hugo, what do you recommend to your clients?
Well, here it's always tough questions because again it depends on the application. So if you have a streaming service, you're probably going to look at the cost per as a KPI, the cost per first streaming. If you have a dating app, the cost per registration. So what is really important there to set your KPIs before starting is talking to people like us, working with similar apps to yours, and telling you what the industry does and trying to set up campaigns with that knowledge. So again, it's a case-per-case basis. So I think the best thing to do is to call your contact at any provider of traffic and asking him, okay, what do the other guys do? Dating is usually a cost per registration. I said that before. Streaming services is going to be more a cost per first streaming. You're having some e-commerce app that are about the transactions. Classifieds are more going to be looking at people posting an ad into their app. So just by mentioning 4 verticals here, I have many different KPIs that really are adapted to the app you're building yourself. So I think the simple advice here is to call your contact at again Facebook, at Avazu, at Lovu, and asking them what are my competitors doing, what are the other app developers doing, and what should I do best to set my KPI first.
Okay. We've seen this morning also in the first presentation from Patrick that the operating systems, the behavior is different. And you showed us that Lovu is on the top 10 in both main operating systems, iOS and Android. Would you recommend a different strategy when it comes to the different operating systems?
Probably, I hear from a lot of developers, especially apps, especially developers that have small teams. I want to start on iOS because it's a unified developing system. So I developed for a set of telephones that is really close, and I'm sure I won't have bugs. I'm sure that my experience will be the same throughout all of these devices. This is definitely true. It's also true that it's difficult sometimes to get your app into the App Store, approved into the App Store if it's a very young app. There's a lot of limitation in terms of what you can advertise on iOS. You might be scared from the fact that Android has a lot of lower level device that will provide probably less revenues. But in Germany, for us, for example, Android drives more revenues than iOS. It's a much larger mass, and Germany is a very Android-intensive market. Same thing for Brazil, same thing for Spain, same thing for Italy. France is a 50-50, I would say, and as well as UK. But it doesn't matter. There's a huge mass. Developing for both platforms is absolutely the best way. In our case, we're a social network, so it would be suicide to say, I want to limit to one platform. We need users, we need the mass. So we develop for anything we can develop for, we just go and we start creating this networking mass. And that's true also for a lot of games that actually need social features. So I would say, at the very beginning, it doesn't matter. Try to develop your app for both systems and see which one works. It might be more of a hurdle, but these days there are a lot of cross-developing tools, so just not be scared.
Okay, but when it comes to the marketing strategy, is it different when it comes to the operating system? Or in what terms is it?
It's definitely different. There are two different price sets. Usually iOS is a little more expensive. There's less users. They're richer, so they want to be acquired more by the advertisers. That's definitely true. But the strategy are more or less the same. You can go to the most networks and they sell you the traffic from both platforms, and the several different KPIs are always there. I would say not that much. Different of prices, different of some networks, but not.
Sis, would you like to add anything to that?
Definitely, the market share is a big key from what I see or what we see from many apps, especially Asia, which is a very strong market for us. Android is a huge market.
And do you tackle that differently?
I wouldn't say differently. Okay. No, it's just, of course, payout is lower. And that's another topic, the inflating CPI rates, but payout is lower and masses are much bigger. So if you are a small app developer and you cannot handle the amount of clicks and the amount of installs that we would generate, for example, for an Android app in Asia, maybe you should reconsider your strategy.
Okay. Any questions? I'm asking again from the audience. Yes, please.
Hi, I was just wondering if you had any advice in terms of launching in multiple countries and cultures, in terms of the marketing strategy and how that might differ.
Hugo, you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, what I usually advise when you want to go with many countries as a plan, not when it's already decided that you're going to go with 20 countries, is to, for instance, for English-speaking markets, you have small countries that you can ace before big US, UK markets that you could target first. I'm talking about Australia, New Zealand. The funny fact about this is that a lot of game publishers are using that strategy, so it also inflates the prices in those geos. But I would advise to go with smaller countries first. The drawback of this is that usually the inventory is smaller, so and a lot of people are doing the same thing, so it inflates a little bit the prices as well. But again, I would ace and nail first small countries rather than going big in any countries, especially if it's a new product, to really understand how the users are reacting to the product.
Okay. Here we have two more questions in the front.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ryan from GummyCube again. I was wondering which ads do you think are best, whether it's video, and what type of video? I think we all know that banner ads just don't work, and or the good old interstitial.
I think I can answer. Video is going to be much bigger in the upcoming years. 2015 definitely is going to be, you'll have a lot of inventory of video. We have really good results with short, to the point videos, and then the user would have the option, if he wants to download the app or not. So not too intrusive with the video again. Keep it short and light in terms of file size, and interactive.
Okay, Lucas, have you tried video, or what is your experience?
Yeah, we did a very small test with video, and it was quite successful. I think it has a premium price, but I think the big advantage of video is that you can actually showcase your app. You can kind of manage the expectations of people that download the app much better than through a standard banner or even through an interstitial. While an interstitial also works better than a banner already.
Have you used incentivized videos at all? Watch the video to earn so many coins or points to be used as in-app currency?
Well, yeah, if it's within an incentive campaign, for sure. In terms of value of the user, it's debatable because he has to watch it. But it's definitely a big part of incentive campaigns.
So how is your experience of the value of incentivized users versus non-incentivized users?
It really depends. We experience also very bad quality of users from the non-incent campaigns, for example, that we got. When we pay the full payout and the user still seems to be non-existing almost, and vice versa. So the incent users that we got were actually as good as the others. So it depends on the strategies.
Is there a learning, you say, for instance, for games, incentivized works, and for other for travel verticals it didn't, or something like that? Is there something you have learned and where you recommend to your clients, okay, because you are travel, whatever, have your travel app, I'd rather go for non-incentivized traffic? Or is there something where you can see, okay, there is a red line that goes across the campaigns you do for your clients?
I would always recommend mixing incent with non-incent campaign, even if it's just a small portion, just to play a little bit and get those users, get the pool.
Do you agree?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There's incentivized traffic has value, and actually it comes back to the question you asked before. There's a little bit of a difference on a plan on iOS or Android. Why? Because iOS ranking work quite in a simpler way than Android. So incentivized for iOS can have a value in the sense that you can get on top of the rankings and then generate organic traffic. So a good incent push can be beneficial. Then when you're talking about a long-tail campaign, so you're talking about the travel vertical, it happens that some applications are already massively advertised, so they're already massively installed by users, and the only option that they have to acquire incremental user base is to do incentivized campaigns. But as a general strategy, I'd say it again depends on your application. For e-commerce types of application, I wouldn't recommend huge incent campaigns on a long-term basis, but more to get on top of the rankings and go with long-term non-incent campaigns. For gaming, it can have also, it can be different. Incentivized traffic for gaming can be beneficial in the sense that it's a different value proposition for the user.
Okay. Lele, have you tried both?
We tried everything.
Okay. And any conclusions?
Yeah, I think people that when they say incentivized don't work, I think you're probably doing it wrong. Anything as the right math, any kind of creative, even banners, even the old ugly banners, if you go and if you actually reach that right mathematics behind it, if you pay in the right amount of money for that, then it's worth it. Incentivized, for example, has a very lower intent in the users. The real intent is getting free credits, and then he gets to download an app on top. When he then he has to open the app because he has to open it, then maybe a small amount of those users has an intent to actually try it. Then it depends if you're spending 10 cents, you're spending 10 cents on a huge amount of users, and then some of these actually use it, and the small amount will probably bring you more than 10 cents you paid on average. It really goes down to how do you acquire. Anything works, but you really need to tune and fine tune how much you're paying for it.
Can we take one last question from the gentleman here?
Hello, I'm Rai from Krobo. I would like to ask about fraud detection. So on what kind of internal, external solutions do you rely on? First of all, apart from the advertiser feedback, like you send me installs, but I don't see any active users or paying users. What kind of solutions?
Yeah, fraud, a very hot topic.
On our end, we have what we call an LTV tool, where we actually measuring not only the installs, but what's happening after the installation. And with some clients, we're measuring 4 to 5 KPIs that are really hard to trick. I mean, we're measuring the registration rate and the paying rate. And that actually helps us to identify fraud quite quickly and cut out those kind of sources. So I think measuring your LTV and having a partner, a media partner that actually measure the LTV of your campaigns is really key to eliminate fraud. But then, of course, that gets the problem that everybody is facing. The ad network or the solution that promise 0% fraud is probably lying to you. It's probably a fraud guy as well. But an LTV integration is really the solution to eliminate those fraudulent sources.
Okay, then thank you very much for being on this panel. And now there's nothing more between us and the lunch, so enjoy and have a great afternoon.